My sisters and brothers, sometimes the first and most important step in dealing with the heaviness of feeling empty and alone is to simply acknowledge it. Too often, we pretend we are fine because we fear being judged, or we convince ourselves that ignoring the feeling will make it go away. But silence doesn't heal emptiness, it hides it, and in the shadows it grows deeper. When you take a moment to admit to yourself, "I feel hollow inside," you are not showing weakness, you are showing courage. Because you cannot heal what you refuse to see, and you cannot fill a void you pretend doesn't exist. There are people walking around every day with smiles on their faces, engaging in conversations, sharing posts online, and yet inside they feel nothing. They've mastered the art of hiding their pain so well that even those closest to them have no idea what's really going on. But the truth is, emptiness doesn't disappear through distraction. It doesn't dissolve because you bury yourself in work, scroll endlessly, or keep yourself busy. In fact, ignoring it can make you feel even more isolated, because deep down you know you are not truly being honest with yourself. When you acknowledge the emptiness, it's like turning on a light in a dark room. You see what's really there: your unmet needs, your unspoken wounds, your forgotten dreams, and your thirst for meaning. This awareness may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is also the doorway to change. Without this step, you remain stuck, constantly searching for something to fill you without knowing what you're truly missing. Sometimes that feeling of emptiness is a signal from your heart, telling you that you've been too disconnected from what truly matters. It could be a disconnection from your creator, from genuine human connection, or from your own inner self. We live in a world that often teaches us to numb our emotions through entertainment, through endless consumption, through chasing success. But numbing is not the same as healing. Healing begins when we stop running and start listening to what our hearts are telling us. So if you feel empty and alone, don't be afraid to pause and say, "Yes, it's where I am right now." Not because you want to stay here, but because you want to understand this place so you can move forward. Sometimes the only way out is through, and the first step through is to see the truth for what it is. One of the most dangerous things about feeling empty and alone is the habit of silent suffering. You carry the weight of your emotions quietly, convincing yourself that you're strong enough to deal with it alone, or that nobody would understand even if you tried to explain. But the reality is, bottling up what's inside doesn't make you stronger, it makes you heavier. Every unspoken hurt, every swallowed tear, every unshared thought becomes another stone in your heart. Over time, you may not even realize how much you've been carrying until it starts to crush you from the inside. Many people keep their struggles hidden because they fear judgment, rejection, or misunderstanding. They've been told before to get over it, or they've been met with silence when they finally opened up. That kind of experience can make a person retreat deeper into themselves, choosing to suffer in silence rather than risk more hurt. But what's tragic is that this isolation often becomes a prison of our own making. We lock ourselves inside, and the longer we stay there, the harder it becomes to reach out for help. When pain is left unspoken, it grows in the dark. It can turn into hopelessness, self-doubt, and even resentment towards life. And because nobody knows what's really going on with you, they can't offer the support or comfort you might desperately need. People around you might think you're doing fine when in reality you're slowly drowning under the surface. That's the danger. Your suffering becomes invisible not only to others, but eventually even to yourself, until you begin to believe that this loneliness is just who you are, rather than something you're experiencing. Opening up doesn't have to mean telling the whole world what's wrong. It can be as simple as speaking to one trusted person, or even writing down your feelings so they have somewhere to go besides your own mind. It can mean turning to Allah in prayer, pouring out your heart in the most honest way you can. The important thing is to stop treating your emotions like they are a shameful secret that must be hidden. Suffering in silence may seem easier at first, but in the long run it steals your peace, your energy, and your hope. The moment you give your pain a voice, you take the first step towards freeing yourself from the weight you've been carrying. When you feel empty and alone, it can be tempting to look for comfort in people, possessions, or temporary distractions. And while these things may give you moments of relief, they rarely bring the lasting peace your heart is craving. That's because true comfort doesn't come from the outside. It comes from the one who created your heart in the first place. When you turn to Allah in times of loneliness, you're connecting to the only source that can truly fill the void within you. People may misunderstand you, life may disappoint you, and circumstances may change overnight. But Allah's love, mercy, and understanding remain constant. There's a deep kind of peace that comes from knowing that Allah sees the tears no one else notices, hears the whispers you don't even speak aloud, and understands the struggles you can't put into words. When you stand in prayer and pour out your heart, you're not talking to someone who is limited in what they can do for you. You're speaking to the one who can change everything in a moment. Even the smallest act of turning to Him, whether it's making dua, reciting a verse, or simply remembering His name in your heart, has the power to soften the sharp edges of loneliness. Many times, emptiness is not just about feeling alone in this world. It's about feeling spiritually disconnected. You might be surrounded by people, yet your soul feels starved because it's been too long since you've truly reconnected with the purpose you were created for. The Quran describes the hearts of believers as finding rest in the remembrance of Allah, and that is not just poetic language, it's a reality. When you bring His remembrance into your daily life, you're not escaping your problems, you're finding the strength to face them with a calmer, stronger heart. The beauty of faith is that it transforms even your loneliness into a form of closeness to the one who has always been there, even when everyone else faded away. It turns your tears into prayers, your silence into reflection, and your emptiness into an opportunity for spiritual growth. So when you feel like no one understands, remember that Allah knows you better than you know yourself. And when you let Him into the deepest parts of your heart, you'll find that the emptiness you once feared becomes a place where His light can dwell. One of the reasons many people continue to feel empty is because they try to fill that emptiness with the wrong things. In moments of loneliness, it's natural to look for something, anything, that will make the ache go away. Some turn to entertainment, some to material possessions, others to constant social interaction, and some even to harmful habits. These distractions might offer temporary relief, but they rarely address the real problem. The truth is, emptiness is not a sign that you need more things. It's a sign that you need more meaning. And meaning doesn't come from distractions, it comes from living with purpose. When you focus on replacing distractions with purpose, you start to shift your energy from merely passing time to making your time count. Instead of filling your days with activities that leave you feeling just as hollow as before, you invest in things that bring lasting fulfillment. This could mean serving others, learning something that enriches your mind, working on personal goals, or engaging in acts of worship that strengthen your connection to Allah. Purpose gives you a reason to wake up in the morning with hope, even if the circumstances around you haven't changed. Too often people think they need to wait until they feel better to start doing something meaningful. But the reality is, purpose can be both the cause and the cure. Even small, intentional actions can start to replace the heaviness inside with a sense of direction. When you use your time to create, help, learn, or grow, you begin to feel that your life has value, not because of what others think, but because you know you are making it count. Living with purpose also forces you to face yourself honestly. You begin to ask deeper questions. What am I here for? How can I use my time in a way that pleases my Creator? What legacy do I want to leave behind? The answers to these questions guide you towards choices that not only ease your loneliness but also enrich your soul. Distractions may keep you busy, but purpose keeps you alive. It doesn't just fill your hours, it fills your heart. And when your life starts to align with something bigger than yourself, you'll find that the emptiness you once carried begins to fade, replaced by a quiet, steady contentment that no temporary pleasure could ever give. When you're feeling empty and alone, one of the most healing things you can do is surround yourself with the right kind of people. Not just anyone, but those whose presence uplifts you, whose words bring comfort, and whose hearts are sincere. The reality is, loneliness isn't always about the absence of people. It's about the absence of connection. You could be in a room full of people and still feel unseen if none of them truly understand or care for you. That's why supportive connections are so important. They fill the gap that emptiness leaves behind. The right kind of companionship reminds you that you're not alone in your struggles. These are the people who listen without judgment, who encourage you towards what's good, and who stand by you even when life gets messy. They may not have all the answers, but sometimes their willingness to simply be there is more than enough. A gentle word, a sincere prayer, or even silent company can be a source of immense strength when your heart feels heavy. Building these connections requires being intentional about who you allow into your inner circle. Not everyone deserves that space. Some people drain your energy, feed your insecurities, or pull you away from your values. The wrong kind of companionship can deepen your emptiness, while the right kind can help you rise above it. It's not about the number of friends you have. It's about the quality of the bond you share with them. Sometimes the path to finding these supportive relationships begins with you. You attract the kind of people who reflect what you value. So becoming a source of positivity, kindness, and sincerity yourself naturally draws similar souls towards you. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It just means you show up as your authentic self, willing to give and receive support in equal measure. When you find people who make you feel seen, heard, and valued, the emptiness inside starts to shrink. They become reminders that you were never meant to carry your burdens alone. And while no one can take away all your struggles, having the right people beside you makes the weight a little lighter and the road a little easier. The truth is, we heal faster when we're not healing alone. And sometimes the simplest act of kindness from a supportive friend can be the spark that reignites the light in a weary heart. Spending time alone doesn't always have to feel like a punishment. In fact, solitude, when embraced with the right mindset, can become one of the most powerful tools for personal growth and healing. Many people fear being alone because they associate it with loneliness, but the two are not the same. Loneliness is the ache of feeling disconnected, while solitude is the choice to be with yourself in a way that nurtures and strengthens you. When you learn how to turn your alone time into a space for reflection, self-awareness, and renewal, the emptiness that once felt unbearable can begin to transform into something meaningful. Solitude gives you the chance to slow down and truly listen to your inner voice. In the noise of daily life, it's easy to lose track of your thoughts, your emotions, and even your identity. But when you step away from the constant distractions and sit quietly with yourself, you start to see things more clearly. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your hopes, and the areas in your life that need change. This kind of self-reflection is uncomfortable at first because it forces you to confront truths you may have been avoiding. But it's in this honesty that real growth begins. This time alone can also deepen your connection with Allah in a way that crowded moments often can't. Without the interruptions of daily life, you can pour your heart into your prayers, recite and reflect on the Quran, and truly feel His presence in your silence. These moments can remind you that even when you're physically alone, you're never spiritually abandoned. It's in these quiet, sacred spaces that your heart can be mended in ways no human comfort could achieve. The key is to use this time intentionally. Instead of filling your solitude with mindless scrolling or endless distractions, use it to learn something new, work on your goals, or even simply rest without guilt. Let it be a time where you invest in yourself, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. When you start to value your own company, you no longer fear being alone, because you know you can find peace and contentment within yourself. In the end, solitude can be a gift, not a curse. It can take you from feeling like a prisoner of your loneliness to becoming a student of your own heart. And when you emerge from it, you carry with you a strength, clarity, and peace that no one can take away.